Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Elfz Network. We are a bunch of wild and crazy Cleveland Browns fans, bringing you all the latest in Browns news. Tune in now. Hello, it is a Thursday night, and it is the Fanatical Elfz Show. I don't know what the hell that voice was, but this is John Suchan, part of the show. There's Steve Gill, and there's Ethan Greenberg. We are live here Thursday night. You know where to show up. I know I posted it on social media like 5 seconds ago. I'm not really good at that. I know, Ethan, you do a great job of previewing your shows, Going Nuclear and the best doggone podcast in the land with Heather. So props to you. He's one of the colleagues that works ahead. He's much more organized than Johnny Cleveland here. How's it going, Ethan?
Hey, it's going all right. I'm just enjoying. I hear that up in Ohio, the weather is finally starting to turn. Steve, I don't know about in Nashville. We're finally down here in Richmond getting more moderate seasonal weather. It's going to be 80s and up to the 90s. So it's made for nice after work walks in the neighborhood. Get a good schwitz on.
What's the weather like there in Tennessee?
Got up to 90 degrees. They keep talking that the humidity's bad, and I keep yelling at the TV. Wait till August when it will be bad. I can't wait for them to complain when the humidity is like 70, 80, 90%, which it will be by August. But, we got thunderstorms just about every day. It's going to, because, we had thunderstorms last week because it was CMA Fest. So naturally we had to have thunderstorms starting overnight tonight because Bonnaroo started today down in 700 acres in Manchester, Tennessee.
Oh boy, yes.
It now becomes the 5th largest city in the state. And my niece and her husband are down there in a tent.
Oh,
God bless them.
God bless them. I think
they've gone before. They've worked it like a lot. He is a master brewer, and he worked for local breweries here. So they would sell beer down there, and that's great. You sell beer, you drink a little beer, and you listen to great music.
Right.
If you have a Hulu subscription, you can watch it live all weekend long.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Hulu always shows it.
I don't have Hulu. I have YouTube, so YouTube TV. But so if you are not familiar with the Fanatical Elfz Show, we usually start it on Thursday night with the weather report. So thank you, Steve. Thank you, Ethan, for your updates on the weather. We're missing Sam, the man down there in Dallas. He's a little bit under the weather with the cowboy hat. Our youngster. Here in Columbus, it has been very nice. It's in the last day. It's heated up a little bit, but it was a very nice work week. I'm still working, darn it. But tomorrow's the last day. Ethan and I were talking about this. I'm a school counselor by day. I put on my cape and we'll do the podcast at 9. And so I'm looking forward to my summer vacation. It might be brief. Yes, I know, folks, you don't like to hear from teachers and educators because they have summer vacation, but you get vacations too wherever you work. You just you pan them out, right? Like
I don't get paid vacations.
Well, okay, Steve.
I'm self-employed. If I ain't working, I ain't getting paid.
Well, all right. We've all talked about it earlier this week. We saw Nick Chubb depart for Houston. He's now a Houston Texan. And I know, Steve, you wrote a really good blog on the issue. I know Ethan commented and some things followed up on it. I had my Johnny Cleveland show where I sort of I talked a little bit about what Ethan mentioned in his text or in his comment to you, because I'm the emotional guy in the group, probably more than, well, Ethan, you are too. But Ethan, you are too. So, but it's interesting because I think that, I just basically said on my show the other night on the Johnny Cleveland show, go back and listen to it. All of the shows that like Ethan and Steve and I all are on Dog Pound South, Going Nuclear are all on Apple, on Spotify. Anyway, I just talked about the emotion thing because I know Ethan was smart in saying that you have to remove the emotion from it, because I know a lot of us fans are emotional about it. But my argument to that is simply that Nick Chubb is in a different category than a lot of most anybody else that I've ever cheered on. So after his devastating knee injury, I just know how emotional that was for all of us. I mean, it was such a heartbreaking thing 2 years ago, and I know he's not the same player. I've already made a bet off camera with Steve that Nick Chubb's going to run for 1,000 yards this season, which I'm sure Steve will remind me in week 17 to pay up. But
It'll be before that.
I'll be holding out hope. That gives, I just believe in Batman. I believe in Nick Chubb. I believe in his spirit and his energy, and that's where my emotion comes. And so I'm emotional about it still, and I'm going to miss the guy a lot. And I think people like Myles Garrett, who like to say all the right things, he just said it's an emotional blow to the team. So I just want your thoughts, Steve. You wrote the blog. Let's start with you, and then Ethan will follow up with you.
Yes, you can find that at dogpoundsouth.net. But anyway, look, it is emotional. I know it. The title of my blog, End of an Era, which it is. And like I said in my blog, I'm still mad at Art Modell for allowing Jim Brown to retire.
So wait. So what you're saying is there's a little bit of emotion then. Steve actually sharing some emotion.
I said it in the blog. I'm still mad at Modell for that. I'm mad at him for many other reasons, and I hope he's churning down south. But and there are still people mad at Bill Belichick for cutting Bernie Kosar. I was upset at that when it happened. And I hated to see Nick Chubb go, but it was a business decision made by Nick Chubb. He went someplace where he could be the number 2 running back instead of coming back to Cleveland, where he would be the number 3 running back if he outdueled Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson.
Okay.
So, and like I said in my blog, what if he couldn't beat those 2 guys out? Mm-hmm. Would you want Andrew Berry to cut him? Oh, wow. That would just be, devastating. The people that hate Andrew Berry would hate him even more. So it's a $1 billion a year business. Hate to see him go, but 30-year-old running backs aren't in great demand in the NFL.
Okay.
Simple.
Okay.
And I can't wait to find out what the contract is. Because before you say how much you got, we don't know how much that contract. That posted on social media was posted by his agents in the hopes that they could get more clients. That's the way the game is played.
So you were saying potentially that, it would just be the bare minimum.
Yeah, 1,170,000 probably. That's the veteran minimum for someone of his service time.
Yeah.
I have a chart that has that.
Okay.
Because you can find anything with Google.
I heard there were some issues with you guys have any issues with Google or the internet earlier this afternoon? They said there were some outages across the country with different things. No? Okay.
Thankfully, no.
Ethan, what's your take on all this? I think Steve paints a really good picture, but I'm still peeved.
No, look, I think what it is everybody has a right to be upset because it is upsetting. But people are acting as if the Browns gave a giant middle finger to Nick and said, get the F out of here. And that's not what happened.
No.
There was a decision made on Nick's part. We don't know what was offered. For sure. Were any of us in the room? Steve, if you've got sources, then okay. But I don't
know. I have heard rumors on what it was offered, but we'll never know.
Right. So we don't know. So we as fans, my issue is this. We have no idea what was discussed. All we're looking at is the end result and being pissed and blaming the Browns because they've earned no equity and good graces for all the stupid things they've done recently. So I think that's where people come out on it. And that's where I'm like, look, it's okay to be upset that Nick Chubb isn't here. But if we don't know what happened and what the discussion was, then how is it fair to sit there and go yelling and ranting and raving at at like the Browns for every single thing they ever do because they're dumb. Do you think, and let me ask you this, do you believe if they were winning, if this was a team that wasn't coming off a 3-14 season, but were coming off an 11-6 season and been in the playoffs,
Sure.
would everybody be up in arms? No, they would not. Look at what Bill Belichick does in New England. He got rid of players all the time. He screwed us and got rid of Bernie Kosar. What did we do the next year under Vinny Testicle Verdes? We went to the playoffs. And yes, I did say that. But the point being, they've earned no good equity with the fans. The fans are ticked. But on a good note,
yeah,
looks like the dome's going to be built, or apparently we're on our way to that. So we got
now while we're talking about this, I just wanted to. We're live here, listening, or you guys are watching us here on Twitter, on the X, on YouTube, Facebook. Thank you very much. They are reports. There is a letter. I don't know if you're seeing this right now, but Nick Chubb just released a letter to Cleveland. I was wondering if he was going to do this. And I haven't. It's a pretty lengthy letter. I'll repost it here for us, but we can talk about it maybe later if you get a chance to look at it. But I haven't had a chance to really read it. But Nick Chubb did post a letter just now to the city of Cleveland and to the Browns fans about his departure. I'm sure it's been a hard thing for him too. I saw that video that they released, or Nick Chubb did back in February. It certainly sounded from that audio and the video that, he knew that he wasn't coming back even then. Is that the take you got? Yeah.
It sure seemed like he had an inkling. And I'm looking at the letter, the repost of it right now.
Yeah.
It certainly does feel like he had a pretty good clue that it wasn't looking good.
And maybe like Steve, you said in your blog, and Ethan, it was his call that he wanted, and I've even said this because I've been bitter that, let's let Nick Chubb go out on his own terms, but you're saying that it was his terms. Like he could have stayed, that the offer that the Browns gave him, potentially he could have taken it. He had an opportunity to take it, but then he wanted to wait till after the draft, or his agent did. Is that, and then they saw that the Browns drafted 2 running backs.
Yeah. Now, if the Browns had taken their first running back in the 3rd round, my contention is he probably more than likely been back. But once they took Quinshon Judkins, no, it was probably the handwriting on the wall at that point.
Yeah.
And John is frozen.
Yes, he is, but that's all right. But we will carry on our wayward
Yes, we will.
son. No, I mean, it's just one of those things. So do you think people, since you were talking about it earlier, Steve, was it more upsetting when Bernie got released versus Nick Chubb going to the Texans? Which do you think is like people are more upset?
Oh, yeah,
about?
Bernie, for sure. Because you just went through a stretch with Bernie. And, here's a guy that put the big middle finger to the NFL and their draft process.
Right.
Beat it. And then, plays as a rookie. I know they only went 8-8, but they still made the playoffs. And then they went on this incredible run. He broke the jinx in Three Rivers Stadium, and they kept winning in Three Rivers Stadium. So yeah, that was totally upset. And then he goes on to Dallas, plays in a playoff game. It might have been the NFC Championship game when Troy Aikman got a concussion, throws a touchdown, and then he goes on and wins a Super Bowl ring. So yeah, that, everybody was rooting for Dallas that year. I know it's hard to believe, you fans out there realizing this, that anybody in Cleveland would root for the Dallas Cowboys. But let me tell you, we were rooting for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely. And I think it's one of those things where we're all going to be rooting for Nick Chubb to do well. There's no
ill will.
Absolutely not.
I mean, like John was saying, he did it on his terms. I mean, and people would say, well, you didn't give him a chance. Well, they signed him to a contract extension last year when they knew how bad he was hurt.
Exactly.
Give him a chance.
Well, and it really bugs me that people make the comparison. Oh, you're paying that guy Watson to stay there, but you won't pay Chubb. They're not the same thing. Watson is under contract. We can't just get rid of him, you chowderheads. You can't quit trying to make this, equivocation. It's not. So I don't know.
I'll carry a hypothetical even further.
Sure.
What if the Deshaun Watson trade worked?
Ooh.
And Nick Chubb still got hurt? Yes.
Right.
They would have signed him.
Mhm.
So let's just thank Nick Chubb for being Nick Chubb.
Did you
and
happen to read
Cleveland
the
Brown.
letter? Anybody see what he said?
I read a few words of it. I'll
Okay.
dive into
Maybe
it
after the
we're
break
done.
we can. Yeah, let's pause here for a quick commercial break. This is the Fanatical Elfz Show. We'll be right back. Hey, and we are back here on the Fanatical Elfz Show. It's a Thursday night. Steve Gill in the house, Ethan Greenberg in the house. I ran off. I spaced out. I had we had a meltdown here.
You
at the house.
went off to
The
get
internet.
a good little
I just
cry
told
out of
you
your
guys.
system.
I'm telling you, there was
on.
this big story earlier tonight that said they were having all sorts of internet, Google, everything was like break. So I think there's some,
I'm on
massive-
T-Mobile and I'm fine.
That was really weird that hasn't happened for a long time. So we're back. I'm back at least. Thank you. Thanks, Ethan and Steve. All right, continue your conversation, Steve and Ethan.
Well, I'm done. Ethan was about to say
Okay.
something.
Let me talk about the rest of the mini camp. Ethan, you and
Sure.
Steve have been watching things. I just little observations. I'm a big Shador supporter. I'm so happy that they got the kid, and I just think he's doing great. And I love his attitude. I love hearing him talk about things. It's just such a different vibe for me, at least as a fan, listening to this kid talk and some of the other players, even Dylan Gabriel and some of the younger players, and not listening to some jackass like Deshaun Watson. It's a relief to have these people in the house. You get Tony Grossi and Mary Kay Cabot still trying to annoy the living crap out of Shador, but Shador is still standing tall. I like the fact that he's putting in extra time. They're showing, obviously a lot of these younger players are probably putting in some extra time. They're rookies. So it's just been good to see. I saw Myles Garrett out there talking a little bit this week. DeJuan Jones is looking like he's looking at left tackle. So I just wanted your observations. Ethan, you want to go first?
Well, I think that it's I'm all choked up. I'm all verklempt. No, what we've been seeing coming out of camp has been there. It's been interesting. Obviously, the biggest stories, because you can't tackle, has been what's going on at the quarterback position. How are the guys looking? What's the rotation? Who's getting to play with who? And there's been some very good discussion about the order in which the quarterbacks are taking reps. And Stefanski says, don't read into it. But then he said, and somebody else was talking about this. So I think it's a good point, a great point. In fact, he says, don't read anything into it. But he also says they're doing things with a purpose. I mean, honest to goodness, I want the Browns to win whomever is under center. Do I have a preference or who I think can do that? Yes, I definitely think Flacco, with his experience, can certainly lead the team. I don't know that Kenny Pickett is that good. I really have doubts about that. I know people want to say that he had a terrible in Matt Canada and everything, but I got question marks. And Dylan Gabriel is Dylan Gabriel. I mean, he had a great college career, a lot of experience, but his height is his height. And when you talk about the monsters on the defensive line, it's going to be all across the board. He may have played one NFL caliber defensive lineman per team per week. Now everybody's NFL caliber, and they know how to play a short guy standing back. So he obviously has played with it his whole life. It's a thing, so he'll figure it out. Shador has been doing great, not only on the field but off the field. It's a big media story, and he's handling it very, very well. I like that he keeps his head down. He's putting in the work, and he doesn't cause any trouble.
No.
You just keep doing what you got to do. And I hope that all I can hope for as a fan, all we can hope for is that they give everybody a shot and the best player an opportunity to play. You don't have to rush a rookie out onto the field, but certainly don't hold them back if they are, kicking the snot out of, the competition, a la Russell Wilson over Flynn.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Well, that's great. I'm so glad Dylan beat Michigan. That's wonderful. Good for him. He also got his butt kicked by Ohio State.
The second time. The first time he beat Ohio State with 3 of the 4 guys were drafted in the NFL.
Oh, who had tons?
And 2 of the guys at Michigan were
Thanks,
drafted
guys from the Bearded Browns podcast. Go check them out too. They do a great job. And they did win some content. Wait a second. They did win. Bearded Browns podcast did win some big local podcast things. So congratulations to you guys.
Fantastic.
We do pay attention to you.
All right. So wait a second. I'm just going to say, who knocked down his pass the first day of OTAs? Was that Mason?
No, wait a second. Ethan, don't get too emotional.
No, this is below.
Don't get emotional.
Dylan,
according to
now, Steve, you think that I get emotional?
No, I'm sorry. Cut the crap. Cut the crap. Dylan Gabriel is a 5'11" guy. Let's not try and lie about his size. I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback, but he's playing against 4 down linemen every single week who are NFL caliber, not one. So there you go. I don't care if it's one pass. He's short. Hey, why don't we go and get Bryce Young?
We're going to take another commercial break here on the Fanatical Elfz show. Wait, do I have Lou on the show? No, wait. No, that's okay.
Wow.
Lou.
Okay. Steve. Ethan, those at the watching that one batted down pass said even if he was 6'2", it still would have been batted down. What was it? That was our first round draft pick, Graham, who batted it down. Yes, he's 5'11". Baker Mayfield was 6 foot, so he's an inch shorter than Baker Mayfield. He seemed to do well. He's the same size as Russell Wilson.
Yeah,
made a hell of a career and a lot of money in the NFL. So, I have no problem with whoever wins the starting job.
Okay.
I see good qualities in Kenny Pickett. Everybody talks about his 15-10. It's actually with the Steelers, it was 14-10. And out of those 4 wins, 6 of them were fourth quarter comebacks, not counting the game that Nick Chubb got hurt, because that was all on the defense that brought the Steelers back. So in 6 other games, he brought the Steelers back in the fourth quarter when they were behind. Okay. I don't have any problem with Joe Flacco. Warren Sapp put out a list of quarterbacks who, after when trailing in the second half, are good quarterbacks. Joe Flacco was number 10. So, and Sanders, I know a lot of fans are upset that he hasn't been put against the number 1 defense. Dylan has. He's Denzel Ward is abused Dylan Gabriel in these OTAs. I mean, he's all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think what they're doing with Shedeur Sanders is they're taking their time with him and doing it the right way. Don't rush him. Everybody, knows that the best quarterback in the league is Patrick Mahomes. He sat his entire first year with the Chiefs. So, whoever the quarterback is, I'm going to be rooting for him, and I don't care what happens in OTAs because it's freaking June, and they're wearing exactly what I am: a T-shirt and a pair of shorts. I could put that helmet on, and I could be at OTAs. So what I've seen is DeJuan Jones is thinner. They want to wait till training camp before awarding him the left tackle. I'm very impressed with Thrash. He looks bigger.
You've always liked Thrash.
He looks bigger, and he has been having a great OTA. Good to see Tillman come back today. Deontay Johnson came out, even talked to the media, he looked good in practice today as well.
How did he sound? Did he sound like he
Oh,
wanted
he
to do-
sounded great. He, you know, he doesn't want to talk about the last year. He wants to remind people that what he did with the Steelers for 4 years, and he was a true number 2 receiver. He
Right.
runs very precise routes, and he gets great separation. If we can get the guy
Mhm.
that played in Pittsburgh for 4 years, there's your number 2 wide receiver, and you got him on the cheap.
All these things I agree with for the most part. I mean, going back to some of these other comments, a couple that you've already mentioned, both of you. Kenny Pickett, we'll start there. I mean, I've seen him interviewed, but it seems like Joe is getting a lot more of the people are talking to him. It seems like, or at least the Browns are showcasing him a little bit more. Not that that means much, but the other question about, how Kevin Stefanski and his messaging, and we're going out here with a purpose. Everything that I'm hearing and what you guys are saying too is that the Browns are not like revving up or like they're going right at it, and it's more. I mean, their plan of action this season is really to be much better prepared, and they're not going to Greenbrier. They're not going to go to some resort. They're going. And just one final thought before I let Steve, you can chime in here. Shador's comments the other day, he's had a bunch of them, but when he was starting to talk about, his learning curve early in the week, he was talking about, learning from these guys and Flacco and showing patience. And he talked about that. I need to show patience. I mean, he was talking in terms like, these are things that I need to be doing. And I sincerely believe the kid. And I said this on my show the other night, because I think it ties back into what I've been saying before we even drafted the kid. His dad's a freaking Hall of Famer, Deion Sanders. It wasn't like this kid has been around football his entire life. He's been around a guy that, some people say that it was too much. I think it was a good amount. And I think it's going to show itself more and more as this kid learns how to play the game of football at the next level. So Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, they have a quick pace on what they're doing. And so far, what I can read from the plan is to get as many snaps for Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders. It doesn't matter what defense are. It doesn't matter if it's 11 on 11s or 7 on 7s or against no defense whatsoever. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get them as quickly acclimated. This portion of the OTAs is not a quarterback competition. It's an offensive installation. And they're going to do another OTA, and you're going to see the same pace next week. And you're going to see a lot of quarterbacks taking multiple snaps the entire time. Mm-hmm. And then we come to the lull where they won't be back until mid to late July. That's when the true test comes for these kids. Give them a playbook, give them instructions on what to work on, and see what happens when they show up. When they show up, they're going to be in pads, mm-hmm. and they're going to be tackling, and they're going to be hitting. And that's when the true test comes. But as far as, like I said, as handling Sanders, they're taking their time with him. Let's not rush him. If he is truly the franchise quarterback, this is what's good for him, not what's bad for him.
No, and everything about this is just so much better, in my opinion. Just everything we're talking about. This whole thing that we're talking about going into this season is a lot different just because of what we've already discussed. You have these different quarterbacks. They commented earlier, all these quarterbacks kind of fit Kevin Stefanski's system, and it's refreshing. There's not a lot of animosity. There's a positivity. We don't have Deshaun Watson, all that stuff hanging over our heads as fans and as an organization. We're looking toward the future. We're throwing, talking about the dome down the line here. Anyway, it's been good. Any other observations, Ethan? Anything else you saw this week? Or I know you had your show earlier this week, Going Nuclear. You had tell me who the special guest was.
Well, that's actually that is the OG co-host of Going Nuclear. That is Madison Delaney. She is a friend who I met. Her father is from Cuyahoga Falls. She played basketball at Randolph-Macon, and I met her. I was calling play-by-play there.
I wondered about that because I caught that part where she said she was talking about being a player, and I didn't know where. Okay.
Yeah. So Madison is the original co-host of Going Nuclear. Mike Mike is on assignment. He's got stuff going on, so she's filling in quite nicely. We're trying to think here. We're almost approaching episode. We're at episode 99. We're about to episode 100, and I don't know. We'll see what happens here. No, it's all good.
Well, congratulations on that. That's awesome.
Well, thank you. So I don't know what other observations you can have. It looked like the running backs were moving nicely, but again, there's no tackling. I'm going to be very, very curious to see what happens in the wide receiver room.
Well, Ethan, it goes back to like my observations on it too, and probably we all have our own experiences. But I've coached over the years, middle school, high school, different sports, football, basketball, and I helped out with the middle school 8th grade teams for a long time. Helped them on the offensive line and different things like that, defensive line. And you think about these players, it's practice. I know it's middle school, but you do all these things in practice, you run through the plays, offense, defense, and then you get to the games, and then you see like who are the kids who really step up in competition and when it's real. And you find out a lot about your team. And I know we're talking middle school and high school, but folks, it's not, obviously I know the level of play is extraordinarily higher in the NFL, but it is like, we don't know. We're seeing these kids run around like Steve, you've been saying all the time, in shorts and t-shirts. Wait till they get there on the pads and then get ready for September 7th or 8th when the first game is. That's really going to be the test.
It is. I can't wait for preseason, to be quite honest. I want
that too. Yeah.
I want to see what the strategy is. Are they actually going to play guys and having them ready? If you saw the clip that the Browns released, obviously with intent, a clip from the meeting room as OTAs started or minicamp this week. And Kevin was talking about there's no ramp up. We're going, and just like you were saying, John. Mm-hmm. And I think that's very important for the success of this team, because they came in apparently last year with this strategy to try to ramp up and keep everybody healthy, and they all got hurt anyway, and we stunk and we lacked discipline. So and I heard this talked about, and they posted this. They changed all the wellness or the training. The whole staff.
Yeah, last Friday they got rid of a bunch of people that nobody reported on. I saw that, Ethan.
Come on, Mary Kay. Come on, Tony.
She talked about.
Well, she's too busy asking Shador about his
stupid questions. It's annoying. It annoys the hell out of me.
Well, let me ask you. So, one, I did hear her talking about it with, I think, Ken and Tony, maybe this morning or yesterday morning. I heard them mention it. It was discussed a little bit there. I don't know. I'm not sure what direction you go in as a reporter, the way things have changed. And if you don't ask a question, you don't get answers. So I know it's not like this.
No, I agree.
And the things have changed in reporting where you are part analyst, part reporter,
part entertainer.
Right. It's a whole different ballgame. To be honest and to be fair, I watched a good video from Kent State alum. They interviewed Mary Kay, and it was actually pretty interesting what she had to do and go through to get to where she is.
Sure.
And I understand that people get pissed with all of our beat writers, whether it be Tony or Daryl or Mary Kay or whatever it is.
Right.
But having to cover some of this malarkey, man, they deserve some kind of a medal of honor for that or something, I think, some days. But I get it. Not all great questions, and not everybody's going to like it. I know I ask stupid questions as a journalist.
Well, and when you're in those rooms, and I've done that a few times now with the college basketball, and it really is intimidating. And for me, I don't have a lot of experience with that. And when you sit in those rooms, it's like when you're in class at school, or in a business, some people, are that A personality, they'll jump to it, and they'll ask the questions. They're much more aggressive. While others of us, like myself, we like to sit back, kind of take it all in. even though I am emotional, like Steve always likes to point out, I do like to take things in and good observer. But when you're in this field, like you're talking about Mary and Tony and all these guys, I mean, they have to be, and if I'm in a room with those people, I'm a little intimidated.
Right.
So you're not, Ethan.
But me? No, not me.
I'm not.
Of course, you're not, Steve.
I worked in radio for 2.5 years.
I know.
I'm not gonna intimidate. Nobody's going to intimidate me.
Well, I'll tell you what. I had to share a story just to show the human side of me as I get revved up and angry about things. I don't know where I get that from. I was interviewing a coach from a team in the regional round or the first or second round of the NCAA Division III tournament. Randolph-Macon hosted this year the women's tournament, the first and second rounds. And I was talking to one of the coaches. And so first of all, she lays it out to me right off the bat. I'm not going to talk about X, Y, and Z. Because I was just doing it for the broadcast and thought, try and spread the wealth, talk to everybody, because I'm supposed to attempt to be neutral, even though I was the broadcaster for Randolph-Macon, whatever. And that caught me off guard. That honestly caught me off guard to kind of have someone. I'm like, okay, I got to change plans here and tact and direction and tiptoe around some of these things. And I think, though, when you're in the business for a long time, if you want to be really good, you need to build relationships. And if you can crack people and build the relationships. Again, in this piece I watched, like Mary Kay talks about how she built a relationship with Denzel Ward and all the stuff about his dad. And she kind of broke through there. But that's what it takes. And it's it's tough. And the way the media and everything has changed, it's really difficult. But I digress.
No, that's good information. It's good.
And we talk about the guys on the radio all the time. And that's what I did for 2.5 years. I talked baseball. And, in a 2-hour show, the only time I was on for that 2 hours, they started at 6. I came in at 7 a.m. It's not that easy. It really isn't that easy to fill and to talk. And back then, we didn't have social media as we do now. And they took a lot more callers. Right. And you've got to talk to the callers. You got to answer the questions. You got to give them insight. And it's, I know a lot of radio hosts don't like to take calls because sometimes they can go completely off the rails.
Sure.
But, that's just part of the business. And I can understand that. But when they get on these binges that just let it go. I mean, Tony Rizzo, apparently accepting the fact that their 4 quarterbacks wasn't getting as many views on Twitter, so he had to go back to find me my quarterback. I hadn't heard him yell that in a month, and all of a sudden now he's back to yelling it. So,
that's funny.
It's all about.
I mean, if you listen to Tony Rizzo, I mean, I've listened to all of us have listened to these guys for years. Tony's in the business to make, money. Like you've all said, to make money. Him and Aaron Goldhammer, they're, a lot of people love.
By the way, it's been a wonderful week. Aaron's been gone.
He's been gone. Yeah.
He'll be back tomorrow, and Riz is out.
No, it's a good takes. I think, there's a lot to be.
It's not an easy job.
No. So, okay.
And Mary Kay, we kid. Okay, we're kidders. We're just pulling your leg. That won't help though, but I'm still blocked by.
Does any of this conversation or the outlook of minicamp and things that we're doing, does this cause you to look at, things at the season as we get going, to be more optimistic about what you see in front of us for the Browns as far as like the schedule and things like that? Or is it just too early to make those kind of assessments, 3 months out from playing a real game? Because I think when we looked at the schedule initially, when it came out, there were a lot more of us who were like more timid about like saying, well, I don't know, they might get, 6, 7, 8 wins, maybe. Are you more optimistic when you think about everything that we've been talking about, that with good 2 new rookie running backs, probably a veteran quarterback to start the season, some good wide receiver play, some good tight ends, a good defense. That was, yeah. So are you either one of you are more optimistic about that? I'm still thinking that the Browns aren't. I mean, I guess the thing to me in my head, it's like they won 11 games 2 years ago. They won 3 last year. So it could, it's the NFL. Steve, you always say it's the NFL. Like anything can happen.
It is the NFL.
So I mean, we could win 12 games next season. We could shock the world again.
Well, like you and I texted each other after I did my Dog Pound South Cleveland Browns Dog Pound South podcast that I was going to finally bite the bullet and start watching last year's games.
Yeah, and I told Lou Marconi. I told Lou Marconi that you were doing that, and he's like, "What the hell is he doing that for?" But we talked about.
I always do it.
But I know you do. I know you do, and I told him that
because basically fans, they remember those last 4 or 5 games, and that's what they shape the entire season on. They don't look at the season as a whole.
Yeah.
And
you made some good observations. We were on our third center in game 6.
Michael Dunn was the starting center against the Bengals. I mean, no wonder you can't run up the middle. I mean, several of those, the run defense, and I know Jarrell keep pushing this point that, of course, the run defense was bad because late in the games they got tired. No, they were bad from the first quarter all the way to the third quarter. And in the early games, the Browns were still in it, as bad as our offense was, because the defense was stopping the run late.
They were
against these opponents. And I can name one was a win, Jaguars. Oh my God, Jaguars ran all over them, especially in the second quarter. It was pathetic.
But
they kept them in the game against the Eagles. They kept them in the game against the Giants, and they kept them in the game against the Raiders.
Yeah.
I mean, and Jerome Ford is a lot better than a lot of people want to think. And, Jerry Jeudy, no, it didn't matter who the quarterback was. Jerry Jeudy, you could tell, was the number one wide receiver right from the start. So, I hear these win totals. They give the Vikings, I don't know how many wins, 10 wins with a quarterback who hadn't even taken an NFL snap yet.
Right.
And his last year in college was solely based on the facts that there were accusations that his coaching staff stole defensive signs. So, how good is he going to be in the NFL?
Yes.
And then they say Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos are going to be good.
Yeah.
I put money every year. There's a reason there's a sophomore slump with NFL quarterback. That's because defensive coordinators have all season to study the tape and look at every little thing that rookie quarterback did. So and besides, we're in June, and CJ Stroud and Trevor Lawrence have already been shut down because of shoulder problems.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Well, hey, this became much more interesting now with the Jags.
And let me put one more thing on this. The reason Baltimore has been one of the most healthiest teams the last 2 seasons in the NFL. They were the second healthiest last year.
Yeah.
3 years ago, were they the healthiest? No. Did they make the playoffs? No.
True.
So sometimes it's situations, it's laws of probability. So that's why I don't take these win totals.
I'm still pissed off as a Browns fan that we went to the AFC Championship game 3 times and lost to those damn Denver Broncos and John Elway. Okay.
Yeah, Bill Belichick cut that guy.
Oh man. Remember Ethan, you were going to speak up. What were you thinking? Oh,
hey, so 1, 2, 4,000 things. I don't know. 1, will Jaden Daniels hit a sophomore slump? That'll be very interesting to see.
I don't think so, but you think so. Okay.
I mean,
CJ Stroud did the year before. They still made the playoffs, but he wasn't that everybody's.
No, that's a good point.
What's wrong with CJ Stroud?
Right. Yeah, that's a good observation.
I'll be curious to see what happens with him. The signing of Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh is very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing for them. I think he is statistically, he really didn't have a bad season last year.
Yeah.
He had a really good season. So I don't know what to make of that. Then you look at the Bengals, and they spent all this money on the offense, And their first draft pick, Shamar Stewart, left. And then Hendrickson isn't signed and isn't there. I mean, that's a mess.
Well, no, kid, he's there. I thought I saw him trying to.
No, he left.
He
He left today. He left.
He tried to get some water yesterday, and the water boy wouldn't even give him water. Did you see
he
that
left
video? He was walking next to the water boy, and he went to go reach for a water, and the water boy kind of turned the other direction. People were saying, he can't even get a freaking water from the water boy.
Well, he probably didn't have the change because,
Mike Brown is charged for it.
Probably charging him.
So he left today. Okay, I didn't know that.
He left today.
Yeah, he stormed out.
I mean, so the AFC North, other than the Ravens, I mean, there's no drama there other than at kicker. Will they lose any games because they don't have Justin Tucker?
Yeah.
I don't know. Hey, did anyone see Spaceballs 2 is coming out in 2027? Made
I
Jim
saw that.
Be with you?
I saw that. I can't wait.
That's be fun.
I am a huge fan.
That's great.
Such a good movie. And I don't know around the NFL if there's any other great stories that we're watching. Certainly, as you guys have mentioned, Minnesota, they've got an unproven quarterback in J.J. McCarthy.
Did you see the story with Pittsburgh that they were trying to go after Matthew Stafford?
I had
see that.
I didn't.
That was their big spiel. They were close to it, or they were in negotiations, and they could never get it to fly. So
that would be tough.
They got Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, which I don't know.
I can't wait. Either these two guys, Tomlin and Rodgers, are going to be in sync, or their individual personalities are going to.
I think it's going to be total.
And
divide.
This is going to be spectacular.
I think it's going to be spectacular beyond spectacular.
Well, I mean, him and DK Metcalf, I could see getting into having some. That'll be interesting. And then just how much
isn't he into all this sort of Zen and all this stuff that Aaron Rodgers is in, all this yoga?
How much John? How much does the fact that with Rodgers that stabilizes the quarterback room a little bit? Because it was looking like it was Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. Okay.
Well, right.
But they keep winning just enough. They finished above 500, and then they're not at the top of the draft to be able to draft their quarterback. Yeah. And it's like at some point, does a team need, I guess I'm going to use this term loosely, need to bottom out to then rebuild, or do you have to get lucky?
Pittsburgh doesn't really rebuild. They've always been pretty.
Oh, right. I mean, like Buffalo, it took a long time for them to find out they needed to be at the top. But then Baltimore, they struggled for a while there. Then they find,
with all this with all this stuff you're talking about, though, it gives me as a Browns fan, and probably you guys too, a little bit more. I mean, realistically, honestly, hope that, you see these other teams, the Bungles are the Bungles, and I know they got who they got, Joe Schmo throwing the ball, and they got Jamar Chase. I get all that, but they're usually
their offensive line still isn't fixed.
And Pittsburgh is sort of like we just mentioned. Pittsburgh fans don't know what the hell they're going to get,
and the Watt is holding out,
and the Ratbirds are the Ratbirds, and who the hell knows? It's Baltimore, so. That's why I'm optimistic. Now, things could go south again real quick here in Cleveland. I just don't get I don't get the same feeling or the energy. And I know I'm talking like Aaron Rodgers, but I don't get the vibe. Yeah. Like I'm not eating tree bark either, but that, just everything we've talked about tonight, there's a lot of optimism. And I think, obviously we're Browns fans and we are always optimistic in June. But
the league is always like this. Half the teams that made the playoffs last year won't make the playoffs this year.
Right.
Do you think that 3 out of the 4 AFC West teams will make the playoffs again like last year?
Probably not.
Who knows? Everybody talked, like Ethan just talked about, Jaden Daniels and what his what he is going to look like in his sophomore year.
Right.
Washington fans better not hope he looks like he did against the Eagles in the playoffs, because they tore him apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Buffalo, their playoff window has been open
for a
so
while.
long. When is it going to close? Kansas
City.
The Eagles destroyed Patrick Mahomes. Are other teams going to employ that same type of non-blitz, constant pressure from everywhere type of defense against him? I mean, right now it's June.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff is going to happen, will happen when training camp starts and we get into the dual practices and the preseason games.
Yeah.
But right now, just be realistic about it. I mean, the NFL is it's an ever-changing landscape, and it always has been.
Guys, I appreciate everything tonight. Great conversation. Browns fans, we really appreciate you following us here on the Fanatical Elfz show. Ethan Greenberg going nuclear and the best doggone podcast with Heather. During the week, we got the Dog Pound South show with Steve Gill. Sundays. And a plethora of other shows, my Johnny Cleveland show as well. I will be, just to give everybody an update, I know you love the Johnny Cleveland show. So we're bringing it back like last summer when Johnny Cleveland had summer vacation. We're bringing Coffee Jolt with Johnny Cleveland in the mornings back to the Fanatical Elfz network. So look forward to that starting next.
Hemisphere coffee.
Yes, it will.
Johnny Cleveland will
Hemisphere
be
Coffee Roasters.
Coffee Jolt.
They shake the hand of the farmer. We'll be drinking that starting next week in the mornings. Catch that Coffee Jolt with Johnny Cleveland, along with my Johnny Cleveland podcast another night. So, Ethan, thank you again so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Live from Virginia. Steve Gill, live from Nashville. Johnny Cleveland
Thank
here
you.
from Columbus, Ohio. We're all spread out around the world. That's the thing that makes Browns fans so wonderful is that, and the thing that podcasting and all of this social media allows us to do is to communicate and talk to other Browns fans across the nation, just like you guys. Thanks again, everybody. Follow the Browns. Go Brownies. Go Cleveland. And we'll catch you next week.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Oof. Oof.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
John desperately looks for the music.
What the hell am I doing here? Jesus, Johnny Cleveland. Where did it go?
John, you should know it by now.
I know.
Put a piece of tape on it.
Oh, we'll just play this. Goodbye.